Welcome to Pure Dog Talk. I am your host, Laura Reeves, and I tell you what, guys, we've got a really cool conversation today. Dog clubs in our world are the source of much joy and much pain, I would think is a safe way to say that. And so today, I'm bringing you two really smart people from a company called Dialogues who have created and are building a service called Clubistry. Jen Johnson is a dog person who happens to also be a developer and a smart technology person, like way smarter than most of us here in dogs. And Brent Wiethoff is the team lead at this company working with this organization. We're going to talk about things that clubs are really good at and things that clubs maybe need a hand with and kind of the idea behind what these guys are developing. So I'm really excited. This is a very sort of cutting edge, we talk about Pure Dog Talk is 20th century knowledge in a 21st century format. And I think that's a lot of what we're talking about here. So welcome, you guys. I'm super excited to have you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Excellent. Jen, let's start with you, if we could, please, because you are the dog club mastermind behind this. And you have a fascinating, we call it the 411, a fascinating background. And I would love to share that with people, talking a little bit about your background in the online space and your background in dogs and how they have kind of intermeshed over the last few years.
Okay. I've got about almost 30 years of experience working with online communities, most of which were dog communities. And that started off back in the old bulletin board days. Way back when, way back when.
It's okay. And we were all there. A lot of our listeners, I know most of you were on those boards, so I'm saying
mumble years ago. Yeah. And moved on, as I became more active in dogs and had my own dogs and started.
And you have Irish Wolfhounds.
I do. I have Irish Wolfhounds. Yes. And started off with a couple of mixed breeds before I had the Irish Wolfhounds. So I've been a member of obedience clubs and regional clubs and our national club, and currently serve on the board of directors for the IWCA. I've served on the board for a regional club in Texas before that, and handle like the Facebook group and our other online spaces, as well as serve on the board of directors, and then built the website for IWCA.
Nice.
And other clubs.
Yeah. And I think, talk to us a little bit, because this is the acorn, right? The nugget behind this concept that we're talking about today. Some of the pros and cons of dog clubs as we know them.
Well, we've seen this in many clubs. I've seen this in many clubs. One of the core problems that we're having these days is sort of a decrease in numbers of members of some clubs, especially the parent clubs, I believe.
Yes.
I think more people are more willing to join their regional club or their local club. It's easy to say, I'm going to join an obedience club because I'm involved with obedience, and then I can have a place to train and people to train with. There's fewer draws for a national club because they're not putting on the local picnic, or, doing the festivals or whatever. And so membership has dropped a little bit. Younger generations are not as keen to join clubs. They don't always really know that there are parent clubs, that there might be a value to, or something that they can gain from joining their national parent club. And part of fighting that is to have an online presence and online applications. We see a lot of people who don't want to download a PDF and take a pen and fill
What are you
out.
talking about? A stamp? I don't own a stamp. I don't want to own a stamp. What is an envelope? Yes. Are you serious right now?
Yes. And even I have the problem, I don't want to, if I have to mail something, I have to go find a stamp. I have to find an envelope. I don't know where they are. I don't use them very often anymore on purpose. Moving applications to an online form helps increase the number of applicants you get because you can fill it out all in one step and submit it and it's done, as opposed to, yes, that looks like something I want to do, but I've had to download this and now I have to cook dinner, so I'm just going to set this aside, and then they never get back to doing the thing. Facebook presence or other online platforms becomes more important these days because this is where people go to find out about information. And there's a lot of bad information on social media. So it's really important for clubs to have an official presence on social media so that they have a voice. They have an official representation and an official voice. You can't really ever stop the bad voices, but if you're not one of the voices, then all they hear is the bad stuff.
Right. And Jeniffer, talk a little bit. I mean, this is I see it in all the clubs, all breed clubs, national parent clubs, all the clubs. Finding a human to do some of this work can be a challenge.
Yes. It is. You need somebody who actually knows how to do the things, right? Like how to set up a Facebook page or a Facebook group. What are the differences between the two? Why do you want both or one or the other? How you use them, who you let be part of the participation. Do you just let anybody in, or is it just for club members? Who makes the posts? Who speaks for the club? What is that message when you speak for the club? And is it unified? Do you have everybody who is speaking for the club speaking with the same message or not? Or are they contradicting each other even when it comes to official club stuff? And do you look like you're just a bunch of people fighting on the group, or is it, a
Brent's
cohesive
laughing, but this is real, man.
Yeah.
And then even with the website, anybody can spin up a WordPress website, but you buy a template and then you start dropping your own content into it and it breaks. The design breaks. It looks bad. It doesn't look good on mobile. The person who had the login information leaves the club, or your volunteer moves on to other things, or you've hired somebody off of Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace to do the work for you. And now they've gone on to college or a girlfriend or a different life and are no longer available. Domain names. You register your domain name. Somebody in your club registers your domain name. And then it's registered.
And then it was 30 years ago, and nobody knows who it was that did it. Like, trust me, I know these things.
I have seen clubs lose their domain entirely because they don't know who has the login information for it, and then it gets purchased by somebody else to be held for ransom for a large amount of money. Same with the websites. Somebody built it, nobody knows who, or nobody has the login information anymore. Volunteers die or move on to other things.
Or
board
get
member,
mad.
yeah, or get mad.
Yeah.
Board members can win the lottery and go off to live in the Caribbean, and don't want anything
that never happens
to do with the club. It's nicer than hit by a bus. There's all these things happen. We've heard all these stories. We've got our roster in an Excel sheet, and you have one person who's in charge of the roster, but they have another person there that's helping them with it. Now you have 2 copies of the roster. You don't know for sure what information once they diverge. And they always diverge. Somebody
guaranteed.
Yeah. Somebody is no longer the chair for the membership committee, and you don't know if you've gotten all the information from them. Do you have the most current roster or not? Is there another version floating around with somebody's updated address? Is it being marked correctly when members die? And you need to take them off the roster.
And
These
people
are all
get
things.
mad because their newsletter didn't show up. I did a lot of work with the newsletter in my club.
Absolutely.
Everybody's mad. Where's my newsletter? Well, okay, that goes back to the roster, right? Because who runs those labels?
Yes. I did get I sent my updated information to the secretary. Why doesn't the membership chair have it? Why did I not get my magazine or my newsletter? These
I
are
paid
all
for my
things.
stud dog listing on the website and it's not there. And what do you mean I didn't pay for it? Because I paid, right? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, all these things. These all happen to
Yes, they
every
do.
club.
Yes, they do.
Every club. I don't think we've talked to any club that has never seen one of these problems.
No. Or worse, many things
Or
worse.
worse. Many things worse. Yes. So
So,
these are the things that we deal with in the 21st century. And no, it's no longer a ledger that we write in and that you put in the mail and send to the next person. You know, things used to update more slowly
mhm,
because it was all handwritten and sent around, and now it's not. Now we're emailing things.
mhm,
And while we as a club might want to say, well, it's just going to take a little while because we have to make sure that yes, you sent the information to the secretary, she has to send it to the membership chair, and she will update it and then recirculate the roster to everybody. Now everybody's got 13 copies of the roster and you don't know which one's which. But our members don't expect it to take that long.
right.
And they don't understand why it would take that long.
Mhm,
They want to send it off and have it updated
mhm,
and know that it's good.
mhm. Yep. And I
Done.
mean, I can tell you, I was today years old when I managed to convince my local Albury club that PayPal to take dues was really
Yes.
cool. Literally today years old.
Yeah. The ability to take an online and I'm just as guilty as that, right? Like I don't want to write a check, find an envelope, find a stamp, make the trip to because I live in a rural area. So the post office, the postal delivery person is not coming to my house. I have to take it to a mailbox down the road and drop it off in the outgoing mail. This is many more steps than I am likely to fit into my day, many days. I want to go online at 3 a.m. when I'm paying my other bills. I'm up working on stuff and pay all the bills and pay all my renewals at the end of the year all at one time
Mhm,
online.
mhm.
Done.
Done, done, done. And I think, okay, so this is, we talk about this all the time. There's so much about purebred dogs that is deeply seated in the 1900s. Some of
Yeah.
it's deeply seated in the 1800s, and trying desperately to move it painfully into the 21st century is a challenge. I mean, it is straight up a challenge. This is real,
Yeah.
it is constant. And so, I guess what I want to talk about now is you guys are working at Dialogues, you're talking about this kind of problem. And so, you guys came up with a solution. So, Jen, do you want to take this one or Brent wants to take this one?
I can start it. I can start
Okay.
it if that's okay
Okay.
with you, Brent.
Great.
Um, so it started off with me doing the IWCA website quite a few years ago, and we kept once everybody saw what we could do, it became yes, let's do more. And so we've added a number of fairly sophisticated features to the website for the membership, and we started getting approached by other clubs who wanted to know if we could do the same thing for them. And the answer was sort of, but because I can't volunteer my hours for every club. I can only volunteer my hours for clubs I'm a member of. I don't have that many hours. So, and it's cost prohibitive to hire a developer to custom build a large scale website for you with a lot of fairly advanced features. And we had a number of clubs approach us in a very short period of time, a little while back. And so we sat down to discuss whether or not it made sense to try to build something that wasn't unique for each club, but would be a service that many clubs could use.
Okay, perfect. In enter stage right, Brent. Tell us about what that looks like from Dialogue's perspective.
Yeah, sure. So, um, Dialogue is just a little company based out of Dallas, and there's a small number of us, but we're all here to to solve interesting problems or to help other people solve their problems. And as Jen was talking about, we've been we go about our own daily lives, and those overlap technology. We will write, have side hustles or side projects where we're working on, solving a particular problem, or writing a game, or writing, a little app or whatever that does a thing. And it's technology, I think, for pretty much everybody on the team, certainly all the developers, um, talking the technology language and being a part of that 21st century is just part of what we do. And it's not just a job, but it's a means to participating in the current communication processes. And so not just Facebook and Twitter, X, whatever, but across the whole system. And so, as Jen mentioned, she's been working on the IWCA website for a number of years. And Jen, we've worked together for over a decade, and we've been at Dialogues for nearly a decade together. And I've had the pleasure of also working on the IWCA website, and we started trying to figure out what's the commonality of club administrators. What are the real pain points that clubs are feeling that we can solve? We're not trying to run the whole thing, but how do we make it easy for those folks to at least ease some of their pains in the space where we play? And well, we build website and web applications, so could we do something with that? And so the discussion kind of evolved. We came up with the idea to package up from the ground up, with the idea to package up the IWCA website product as its own thing, but built specifically to be able to house lots of clubs managing their own individual rosters, having
So
their own
plug and
spaces to
play,
communicate.
plug and play
Yeah,
for German
yeah,
Wirehair Club of America or Spinoni Club of America or whatever.
yeah,
Pull it off the shelf. Here it is. We don't have to reinvent the wheel, which is so often, you guys are much smarter about this than I am, but it's so often the problem when you're trying to do technological stuff is I don't want to reinvent the wheel. I don't want to
yeah,
have to do
yeah.
this 16 times, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And uh, there are a million ways that you can solve these problems online today without the tools that we have built. But and that's part of why we're approaching it the way we are, which I'll get to in a second. But uh, you can go to WordPress.com and spin up a website, or Wix or Weebly or any of the other free online tools, and you get a website that's not bad. I mean, if you
What you pay
are
for,
okay
you
with
get
it,
what you pay for.
sure. Uh, and there's nothing wrong with those tools, but the thing that doesn't do is that whole spreadsheet problem that Jen was talking about. And when somebody gets mad and takes their toys and leaves and holds your membership spreadsheet hostage, which I know is another example that Jen and I talked through some time ago. I mean, that's awful. And so our hope was to solve that particular membership, management process problem, in addition to the website, because both of those things are online processes now. And so um, by doing it in a way where everybody can access it, but it's basically the same for everyone, we can get it at an affordable price. And then the other piece that we want to try to do is we want to make it simple. Like you mentioned, we're bringing people up into the modern times, and so we don't want it to have all the bells and whistles and knobs to turn that you get into the back end and you're like, I just don't know what I'm doing. I'm totally lost in this thing. So we've tried to focus on simplicity. Just make it simple and do what you need to, and then you can get on with, get back to the dog show or get back to your family, or and
Your litter of puppies because it's
yeah. Oh my gosh, right?
you're sleep deprived because they woke you up at
Yeah.
midnight to have a tap dance party in their poopy.
Yeah. And so what we've
Puppy did.
realized is that so what we've realized is that, dog clubs is where our expertise lies, and primarily Jen, not mine, but and some other folks on our team have been a part of the dog world, and administrators and participants in dog clubs for a long time. And so that's really where we've tried to focus, because it's where we know most of it. But all kinds of enthusiasts, from dogs or pets in general, to vacuum cleaners, to paragliding, to whatever kind of thing that you're into, you've got a social system of people that care about each other, and there's also some structure to that. And then everybody pays a membership, and there are commonalities across that. And so our goal with Clubistry is not just to sell a service, but to build a community of club administrators to talk to each other about, hey, how do I solve this problem? My secretary just left, and now we don't have the keys to any of our systems, or our accountant has moved. What do we do now? How do we grow membership? How do we get our message out there? What's the best way? Like Jen mentioned a minute ago, what's the best way to run a Facebook group or a Facebook page? And which one is it that we need to do? And so we have those answers, or Jen, I should say, has a lot of those answers. But if we can build a community of people that are asking those same questions and know, then that's a win. And Clubistry is just a way for us to, honestly, at the end of the day, we have to make some money. And so we're hoping that some of the folks will subscribe to that tool, but the club that we're building of club administrators itself is free and easy to join. So that's kind of the thing. That's our goal, is to help those folks get answers with each other as part of a kind of a community of club admins. And it feels crazy to think that that's true, but there's so many clubs, and that, you're a part of one. Almost everybody is a part of at least one club. So anyway, I guess that's a really long answer to what you asked.
That's good. I like it.
Trupanion is revolutionizing medical insurance for pets by providing the best possible experience to our members. And it's not some space-age dream. It's happening now. We pay your veterinarian directly while you're checking out, and we're the only ones who can, which means you have decisions in seconds, and you don't have to wait for reimbursement. So unlike with other providers, you'll keep more money in your pocket. Ask your veterinarian if Trupanion can pay them directly, because there's pet insurance, and then there's Trupanion.
So Clubistry is the dialogue's answer to solving some of these problems. And so Clubistry, in and of itself, talk us through, Jen, maybe talk us through some of the things that, if a club was interested in this service, talk us through some of the things that they would be able to streamline with this.
Okay. So the first piece of Clubistry is a website building and management platform. It is, we very specifically have targeted building a system that lets you have some flexibility about what sorts of content you are putting up on, is it a video? Is it a full page thing? Or is it a little column of text? Or we want news teasers or whatever. While giving you some, how does it look, some design options, but it's really hard to break. You don't have complete flexibility. You can't just go in and rip it all apart and do your own design. And the reason for that is because most clubs don't have somebody who knows how to do that and keep it up and running and keep it working. So we've taken care of the part where it's mobile responsive, right? So you put up your text and your content and your images and your news items and build out some FAQs or whatever you need to do. Pick some choices for what sorts of things you have on each page. You build out your website, and it works on mobile. It is accessible for ADA compliance issues. We've taken care of all of that, and you can't really break it. You can muck it up a tiny bit, but you can't really break the layout.
Well, and I think, Jen, like we talked about, so many of people who are involved in our clubs, just by virtue of the way it works, are our age and older, right? We are a graying community, so can't break it is big.
And we will increase the number of options you have for like how you manage the designs as we go along. But what we've got now is a fairly solid base of things that you can't really break.
Nice.
And then we've got we're just rolling out now, like this afternoon as we're recording this, we're rolling out the membership dues and donation, or dues and renewals piece.
Okay.
So you can already have your membership online. You can have every member can have an account. So when their address updates, they can log in and update it themselves. You have members who don't have email addresses and don't go online at all. You can still have somebody who's responsible for managing that information and updating it for them, but it all updates in the website.
Nice.
So then you can go in and pull a report that has all of your membership data. The roster is always current based on latest updates to the database. We're just rolling out with the dues and renewals piece. So there's two parts to this. Right now, the system will automatically generate when renewals are due. Like they're due on January 1st. Everybody, now when you log in, there's a notification that says, hey, your dues are due. And here's how much you owe. And we don't have the online
button to push to pay it.
So right now, the first part of this is we get the manual process in place first. And you'll be able to go in and mark that you've received a payment. We were trying to rush this out because a number of the clubs that we already have in the system are in the middle of their renewal phase right now.
Yep.
So they need to be able to go in and go, okay, Sue Smith has renewed. She sent a check for X number of dollars, or she paid on PayPal. We've given the ability that you can set up a PayPal form on your website, so you can at least send them to a link on the website with the PayPal payment form. In the near future, you'll be able to connect with a payment gateway. Stripe is what we're going with, I believe. And so you'll be able to connect to your club Stripe account. And then you will be able to pay online with a credit card. I can go onto the website, pay my dues. Poof, it's done. It gets automatically updated in the system. Now your membership chair only has to update the people who are paying by check and mailing it in. Right. And that number decreases every year. Yes. We've seen this on even just putting the PayPal form on your website leads to a decreasing number of checks being processed every year.
And do you have any numbers? Can you speak statistically to once that PayPal is there, does your membership grow? Do you get more renewals? Do you have any kind of statistics on that? Because I would think it would be huge, but talk to me.
I don't have the statistics on that part. I have statistics on online applications, some anecdotal statistics, but the PayPal payments, we do see as a decrease in the number of what we've had happen a lot is people who join and then they just never remember to renew. These are the sort of fly-by-night members. Our older members, are not older, but our longer-term members who have been members for many years, it is a little easier for us to go, no, it's the 31st and I have forgotten to pay my dues. And I don't have to worry about getting a check in the mail with all those steps. And then calling my membership chair to go, really, I swear I've got it in the mail. Please don't kick me out of the club. I've got it in the mail. I can just log in, poof, poof, PayPal payment. It goes to the treasurer. There's a little bit more communication with that way within our club because treasurer has to talk to the membership chair because they're handling different pieces of this. But it's still easier to process the online payments. It's easier for our officers. The treasurer would much rather you pay by PayPal or Stripe or whatever, and it just comes through, than to have to collect the checks from the P.O. box, and then take them and deposit them at the bank.
Yes.
Even if you're doing electronic deposits, with a mobile device, this is still a lot of pictures to take to process the checks. It is easy, even if it doesn't, where it doesn't increase the membership retention, which it does do a sum of, it still makes the other end of it, the processing end, the work on our volunteers and our club officers, it's less of a load for them.
Nice.
Online applications is already a part of Clubistry. You can log in. You can create an application for each type of membership your club has, and now people can come log in, or they come to the website and they put in their email address, fill out the application, submit it. So there, as we already discussed, this does increase the number of applications you get from 6 a quarter or 10 a quarter to 30 or 40 a quarter, depending on how much you're promoting it and talking about it to potential membership pools.
Nice.
Or pools of potential members. But again, on the other end, the processing end, now you've got applications that are online. You can make them available to whoever in your club processes applications. Every club's process is different, and we've tried very hard to honor that process. Some clubs, everybody in the membership votes.
Right.
Some, it's the board of directors. Some, there's a committee that approves them. So whoever is supposed to approve them can be granted access to review them. Everybody, you can log in. They're not open to everybody, just the selected few. You can log in. You can read the application.
Nice.
Nobody has to print them out. Nobody has to make copies.
Saves so much time at the board meeting, right? Reading through all these things.
It really does. We've done this where we've got all the documents online before the board meeting. We read everything. The reports have all been read. We can get into a board meeting and go, my report stands as submitted. I don't have to spend 20 minutes reading it out. We have all reviewed the applications ahead of time. We come to the board meeting prepared with our questions. I have a question about this applicant and this applicant. We discuss, we do our voting. And then after the voting is done, then a person who is assigned as the application manager can come just approve applications or decline them. You approve the applicant, they are immediately moved into the membership database. And they're there. And then an email goes out and tells them how to set their password. This is not a painful thing where you have to enter them into a spreadsheet. You don't have to type up a mail send them mail. You can still send them mail if you have stuff to send them, but they will be notified right away that their application has been approved. You don't have to change your voting process or your approval process for memberships. We've allowed for that. That takes place outside of Clubistry. Then you come back to Clubistry, approve your applicants, boom, they're done. Much less work on the volunteers.
Well, and I think, that is always what it's about, because our clubs are entirely volunteer. Nobody's getting paid for this. And so anything that makes our jobs as volunteers easier is holy hosanna. And I know that we will be able to provide in the show notes links, ways to contact you guys so that clubs can find out more about how a plug and play of this system could work for their club, what it might cost, all that kind of stuff. Can you give us just a ballpark? Are we talking about it's, $100 a year or $1,000 a year? Just so people in their clubs have a way to kind of talk to their clubs about, should we look at this or not?
Yeah, I can field that. So, like I mentioned, our goal is to make this available and to make it up with clubs that are have the budgets to pay for it. So our aim is to make it free for clubs under 50 members. That number may move around a little bit, but if you're a small club, just use it and come and take it today and sign up for it and get going. If you're a club with up to 1,000 members, that's going to cost you about $59 a month. and there are some annual dentist discounts. That's the number that we're working with right now. Obviously,
Okay.
prices move around and that sort
This
of
is
thing. But
new,
that's
so
okay.
I want to
Yeah.
make sure everybody knows this is a project and as always at Pure Dog Talk, I like to talk about new stuff that people are doing. So check it out. I think that is, there's so much possibility and so I know that, for example, when my club, it used to be a member did the wire news and they did the magazine, right? They volunteered their time and they did all the stuff. They did every single thing. Finally, they decided, maybe paying a professional to do part of this is worth it. So I think for me, that's just the best example I can give that, there's ways to make life easier. And this is 100% one of them. So awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
absolutely.
All right. Well, you guys, thank you so much. Listeners,
Thank
there
you.
will be information available. You can go to the Pure Dog Talk website and check it out. And I really appreciate your guys' time and your enthusiasm and your ideas because we need smart idea people. So
Well, thanks so much for your time. It's fun to talk with you today. We will see you all in the 21st century. How about that?
yes, I love it. Into the 21st century. Here we are. I like it. All right. Thanks so much, you guys.
Thank you so much for having us.